being a boxer isn't an everyday trade that I can take anywhere around the world, do you know what I mean? It's not something I can do till I'm 50 years old. I just realised I've got a short window and I need to express myself and my talent to the world, so it's a real hustle, man.
Sparring with Joshua, we know that whatever opponents we're going to face in the amateurs, we're going to spar with Joshua, we can expect the best, so it prepares us to be the sharpest and the best that we can be. As I've come out, Fraser's gone in, and it's good to be sharp 3 rounds. You can have another good sharp 3 rounds there.
How I keep positive, I would say, is every time it gets tough, and when I feel like I don't want to do it, there is someone out there in this world, laying on a hospital bed, begging for a second chance at life. I'm sitting there healthy, with good friends, heating, light, running tap water. I don't think I have any excuse to not go hard or live life with a smile on my face.
Anthony Joshua is gearing up for the Jake Paul fight like a man on a mission to remind the entire world exactly who he truly is.
You know, so I use YouTube a lot, where there's a lot of videos what I listen to, and I update it, and I can always revert back to it when I'm feeling low to get a bit of motivation. Fear comes in many forms. There's some things that I can't get over and I'll always be scared of. But I take the positive from it. Like, I'm never so confident I'm gonna win. It's probably the fact that I'm scared to fail.
Not just a former world champion, but a generational powerhouse carved from discipline, raw strength, and elite professionalism. His training camp looks like something pulled straight from an ancient gladiator movie. Early morning sessions where he's drenched in sweat before most people even roll out of bed.
Anything. I make the decision myself, and if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't. So when I'm faced with the challenge, I just embrace it. And what can one man do except for give his best? If you fail, you try again. If you win, you try again and get better. So as long as you maintain and you stay consistent, you'll forever be a winner and a champion, and the people who love you in their rights, because they support you nevertheless, as long as you're trying again and again and again.
Strength work that has him tossing weight like it's air, and conditioning drills that would break elite athletes but barely dent his engine. His footwork is razor sharp. His combinations crack like artillery, and every sparring partner brought in ends up looking outmatched because Joshua isn't training just to compete. He's training to dominate.
Treat the person who is beneath you in a different class to the same person who's above you in a different class. It's an equal playing field, and we have to treat everyone with the same respect. And that's why, you know, people fight for equality. And I think that's important, and that's why I mix stay hungry and stay humble together in such a fine way that they gel together well. Stay hungry.
Coaches say his focus is colder, sharper, and more locked in than anything they've seen in years. The same laser intensity that built his Olympic gold and heavyweight reign. Every punch, every drill, every round is a declaration. And there's one punch everyone keeps ignoring. So, let's drag it into the spotlight. Forget the right hand. Forget the jab. The real nightmare for Jake Paul is Anthony Joshua's uppercut, because Jake reacts the same way every time he gets hurt.
I hope it's not a game, because I want to see some blood. I want to see somebody's teeth falling out. So I told Anthony, I already messaged Anthony. I said, listen, I tell you what, I said to AJ, if this goes past 5 rounds, everybody's going to be having a go at you, because you can't go past 5 rounds with this kid. He has to go past 1 round or 2 rounds. Past beyond 4 or 5 rounds, you know, people are going to be doubting you as a fighter himself. So he has to smoke him out like what he did Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia in 1.
He dips straight forward, head down, hands tight like he's bracing for impact. And that right there is the exact runway AJ uses to launch the clinic-level killer. If Jake bites on a feint and drops low, AJ's uppercut isn't just ready, it's waiting like a trapdoor to the shadow realm. It's the kind of shot that doesn't just hurt you, it erases the round, the game plan, and maybe even the memory of how you got there.
Jake Paul slapped a weight restriction clause on Anthony Joshua despite the fact that this is being fought at heavyweight. Now, in case you missed it, AJ is not allowed to weigh in more than 245 pounds for this fight. And for context, AJ has weighed in more than 250 since after his 2022 fight against Alexander.
And unless AJ walks in having an identity crisis, unless he hesitates, doubts, freezes, and forgets he's Anthony Joshua, This ends exactly the way physics already signed off on. Jake Paul can box, but Anthony Joshua can end eras. When a cruiserweight influencer steps in with a heavyweight puncher built with Olympic mechanics and skyscraper power, the universe only allows one outcome. And speaking of getting erased by physics, that leads us perfectly into Dan Rafael, who just dropped his reaction like a journalist who accidentally wandered into the trailer for a disaster movie.
I'm going to say it for you, okay?
Done. No, please,
if Jake Paul beats Anthony Joshua by a knockout, this is a million times better than what I always have thought was a very ill-conceived event with Tank Davis. So whatever you think about Jake and some of the types of fights that he has made, you got to give him credit for at least everybody has said for a long time now, fight a real fighter, fight a real boxer. Well, Anthony Joshua was absolutely a real boxer, a real fighter.
Dan's sitting there basically saying, look, AJ might be coming off a 14-month layoff, fresh elbow surgery, and a Du Bois knockout that looked like someone unplugged his Wi-Fi mid-fight. But even then, even with all that, he's still dangerous enough to compete with any heavyweight on the planet. And he's right. Because while Jake Paul has improved, credit where it's due, the man went from throwing influencer punches to actual combinations. Dan's insiders, the real matchmakers, the guys who build contenders for a living, are staring at this matchup like Jake accidentally clicked legendary difficulty on a video game.
Deny that. Like you said, two-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist. Now, he may not be at what he was when he was absolute peak. There's no doubt that Anthony Joshua was beyond his apex of his career. Mm-hmm. But even though he'll be coming off of about a 14-month layoff.
Yeah.
He's coming off having had surgery on his elbow. He's coming off of a very, very, very difficult, brutal, hard knockout loss in the Dubois.
One guy even used the word decapitation, and you could see Dan holding back a laugh like, please don't get me demonetized today. And honestly, I get it. When experts look confused, promoters look nervous, and journalists start using disaster movie language, you know this fight isn't courage, it's a dare. Jake took it anyway, and now we're all waiting to see whether boldness turns into brilliance or just something that ends up looking spectacular on a highlight reel. Either way, grab the popcorn because December 19th is going to be pure chaos on a stopwatch.
Jake Paul certainly has gotten better since he fought Tommy Fury. He's certainly gotten better over the last number of fights. Now, is he at an elite, world-class level? Probably not yet. He may never get to that level, but so you got to give him props. He's taken on a guy that I spend part of my morning talking to different boxing matchmakers, people I've known for decades in this business, who have vast experience of building fighters and moving fighters and developing them, and they know a lot better than you or me what they're looking at. And to a person, they were like, they don't understand why Jake took this fight because they think it's, one person used the word of the.
And right when Dan Rafael had everyone looking at this matchup like Jake accidentally signed up for a physics experiment, boom, here comes Chael Sonnen strolling in with that, I told you so swagger like he's narrating the trailer for Jake Paul's consequences. And the way Chael breaks it down, you can feel him grinning because this is the exact chaos the internet begged for. He's talking confirmations, denials, calls to commissions, turning into boxing Sherlock just to prove one point. If nobody says no, that usually means, yeah, they love this train wreck. And the way he frames Jake stepping into this fight, it's like Chael is warning us the same way your friend warns you not to push the big red button, then smiles because he knows you'll push it anyway. You, me, all of us. We're watching Jake Paul walk straight into a heavyweight wood chipper with confidence, sunglasses, and a camera crew.
Jake Paul has abilities to win this fight. A lot of them involved moral victories. A lot of them involved getting out of the first round. And a lot of them would involve getting out of the first 2 rounds and haven't been knocked down yet. One would be getting out of the 3rd round, you've only been on the canvas once, and you got up to your feet, you shook it off, and you're ready to keep going. Like, these things are all victories, but the fight that it's going to happen, I think it's a big deal for Jake Paul. I think it's a big deal for everybody involved. I think it's a big deal that Francis looks at that fight and realizes, oh, these things make sense. These things that make dollars, they make sense. That's his business. This was his opportunity that he missed out on. And now Joshua's gonna have.
Then Chael drops the real hammer. The audience finally gets what they kept asking for. A real boxer, real size, real danger, and real consequences. And he's right because when you strip away all the noise, this matchup looks like someone dared Jake to sprint into a brick wall just to see what happens to the brick. Chael even tosses in those moral victories like he's handing Jake coupons. Survive a round, survive 2, stand up once, boom, that's your trophy. Meanwhile, AJ is standing there like a man who already lived through the Francis Ngannou fight and walked out realizing it was basically cardio with commentary. Now he gets to do it again, except this time there's actual risk, actual speed, and actual heavyweight violence behind every punch. And Chael's right, we don't need to read a single exhibition clause. Not one line, not one comma. As long as these two swing full power, the bylaws might as well be printed on confetti because you and I both know exactly how this movie ends. And Jake Paul's haters are sitting in the front row with popcorn and seat belts.
It out like Dana. So it's a very bad idea. Because it's everything that everybody's ever wanted they're going to be given. Dana said, be careful with what you ask for. And what Dana's talking about is they want to see Josh Paul fight a seasoned, in his prime, of his size, real boxer. And that's what Joshua is. So Dana's talking about you're going to get what you asked for. Well, what you asked for is a real fight. What you asked for is for somebody with the power and the danger to beat your ass. What you, the audience, have asked for Jake Paul is that you want to see somebody end this experiment.
And sliding straight out of Chael's boxing detective work into Carl Frocka's primetime rant, you can feel the temperature spike instantly. Frock doesn't just roll his eyes, he swings a sledgehammer. He calls it Clown World, calls Jake a clown, and flat out says AJ is cashing out and finished at the elite level. I hear him. I respect the Cobra's pedigree. And yeah, Frocka's takedown is premium TV. 10-ounce gloves, 8 3-minute rounds, 1 round KO talk. That's raw, unfiltered opinion, and it hits hard. But here's my take. You can agree with Frock that this fight smells like payday and spectacle, and still not ignore the fact AJ's got the tools to make it brutal and short. You and I both know the puncher math. Power doesn't need an invitation, it just arrives. If AJ shows up sharp, that uppercut we keep whispering about, that tight 1-2 down the pipe, could end this before Jake finishes his first motivational tweet. Frock thinks it's a mismatch. I think he's feeding the narrative machine. Whether it's a mismatch or a statement fight depends on AJ's mindset on fight night, not on the pundits' hot takes.
Fake Paul is the A-side. He wanted to be the A-side, so it's billed Fake Paul, Anthony Joshua, but I mean, AJ's agreed to it because the old bunts, money talks, doesn't it? But yeah, Fake Paul, Anthony Joshua, in that order. How's he the A-side? Never even fought a heavyweight in the professional capacity, and he's jumping in with AJ. We'll get into it now. So Jake Paul said this isn't an AI simulation. He's probably going to hope it is when AJ starts clumping him around the ear holes. I don't think that'll last long as soon as he lands. This is Judgment Day. I thoroughly...
Now, let's be real. Frocka's drama is the spice everyone clicks for, but here's where I go bold. This fight is a litmus test for boxing's modern era. If AJ sharpens his timing, controls range, and detonates that uppercut when Jake ducks, it becomes an old-school KO that shuts down the circus and gives AJ a clean paycheck while reminding the world why heavyweight punches still rule the sport. But if AJ looks hesitant, slips into exhibition mode, or treats this like a cameo, the internet will rip him apart, and Frocka's career over narrative will trend for weeks. You and I are front row for either outcome. A classic heavyweight reminder of physics and punishment, or a headline that says entertainment finally outran the sport. Honestly, I want both, the drama and the lesson. One clean AJ knockout to silence the doubters, and 1,000 memes fueling the aftermath. Tell me in the comments, do you want AJ to cash out clean or rebuild for legacy?
If this is a straight up AJ versus Jake Paul, then we all know what should happen. This is a one-round job, because AJ, even though he's past his best, even though he's seen better days, he throws a nice 1-2 down the middle, he's got a nice bit of distance, and Fake Paul can't fight. He just can't. I don't care what anybody tells me. He can't fucking fight. He lost to Tommy Fury for crying out loud. You can't jump in with Anthony Joshua now and expect to get a result. So, nothing's going to, no doubt's going to disappear. All that's going to happen is going to be the end of...
And after all this chaos, all this breakdown, all these legends chiming in like it's a heavyweight town hall meeting, here's where I stand. This fight isn't just a matchup. It's a measuring stick for the whole sport. It's legacy versus momentum, power versus audacity, physics versus Instagram confidence. And you and I are buckled in watching whether Jake Paul pulls off the craziest plot twist of the decade, or whether Anthony Joshua proves heavyweight reality doesn't negotiate with hype. So drop your thoughts in the comments. What are we really witnessing? A miracle, a mismatch, or the most entertaining demolition job we've seen in years? And yo, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Boxers. See you in the next one. S.